Are you still using a Galaxy S22 and wondering if it's going to get the next big Android update? Well, there's some good news. Samsung has started testing One UI 8, which is based on Android 16, and the Galaxy S22 series is now officially part of that process. Recently, the Galaxy S22 Ultra showed up on Geekbench running Android 16 with One UI 8, and that tells us Samsung is getting serious about keeping older devices up to date. Over the years, Samsung has improved a lot when it comes to software updates. It's no longer just about the newest phones. Now even the slightly older ones like the S22 are getting attention early. Google is expected to roll out the stable Android 16 update between June and September, and Samsung looks like it's trying to be one of the first to push its own version through One UI 8. That means Galaxy S22 users may not have to wait long to get their hands on it. The company has already started testing One UI 8 on its upcoming flagship devices like the Galaxy S25 and the Galaxy Z Fold 6. Now that the S22 has joined the testing phase, it's a clear sign that Samsung is planning a broader rollout. Reports even suggest that a beta program might launch before the end of the month, which would give some users early access to try out the update before its full release. But before you expect a completely new look or tons of flashy features, there's something you should know. So far, the early versions of One UI 8 don't seem to bring major changes. The initial builds are focused more on improving how the system works, smoother animations, small design tweaks, and performance enhancements that happen quietly in the background. It's all about stability right now. Samsung usually adds more visible changes as beta testing moves forward, so more updates will likely come later. For Galaxy S22 owners, this update is especially important for another reason. It's going to be the last major Android version they'll receive. The S22 series was released in 2022 with Android 12. Since Samsung promised 4 years of Android version upgrades, Android 16 with One UI 8 will complete that promise. After this, S22 users will continue to get monthly or quarterly security patches, but they won't be getting any more major Android version updates. That said, it doesn't mean the phone becomes outdated or useless. These security patches will still keep your phone safe, and performance tweaks might be included from time to time. But this marks the end of big changes for the S22 series, and that makes the One UI 8 update kind of a milestone. What's also worth noticing is how closely Samsung is working with Google's Android timeline. Starting tests this early shows that Samsung wants to stay competitive and keep its users updated ahead of others. In the past, Samsung was criticized for being slow with updates. Can Samsung finally beat Motorola at its own flip game? A new leak might just confirm the biggest design change coming to the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7, and this one could seriously shake up the flip phone market. Hidden inside Samsung's own One UI 8 software, leaked animation files are pointing toward a major redesign for the outer display, and this time it's not just a small tweak. So what exactly changed? According to the leaked build of One UI 8, Samsung may finally be going for an edge-to-edge cover screen on the Flip 7. And not just any screen, one that wraps around both rear cameras, stretching across almost the entire front panel when the phone is folded. That would be a big jump from the 3.4-inch cover display on the Flip 6, which many users felt was too small for anything beyond checking notifications or using a clock widget. Rumors suggest the new display might measure around 4 inches, giving users much more room to respond to messages, read emails, or even check maps, all without flipping open the phone. That's a big deal, especially when you look at what competitors are doing. Motorola's Razr Plus already has a 3.6-inch OLED screen on the outside, and it runs full Android apps. Xiaomi's Mix Flip is rumored to push that even further with its own edge-to-edge cover panel. These brands are treating the outer screen as the main way to use the phone, not just a tiny preview window. Samsung, on the other hand, has always led in hinge design, build quality, and water resistance. But it lagged behind on outer display size until now. So why this change? It seems Samsung is finally ready to give users a full-featured cover screen, and the software leak shows signs of native support for full apps on the outer panel, something users previously had to tweak, using Good Lock or other tools. If Samsung builds in this support from day one, the Flip 7 could feel far more functional, even when it's snapped shut. Now, let's talk specs. According to the latest rumors, The Galaxy Z Flip 7 is expected to have a 6.85-inch dynamic AMOLED main display with a 120Hz refresh rate, a 4-inch AMOLED cover screen, likely with a 60Hz refresh rate. The latest Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, with some markets possibly getting Samsung's Exynos 2512 GBs of RAM and either 256 or 512 GBs of storage, a camera setup with a 50-megapixel main sensor, a 12-megapixel ultra-wide, and a 10-megapixel selfie camera, a 4300 mAh battery supporting 25-watt wired charging. Android 16 with One UI 8 right out of the box. Samsung is expected to announce the Flip 7 sometime in July 2025. And if these leaks hold true, this could be the most complete flip phone the company has ever made. Why does the cover screen matter so much? If you've never used a flip phone, the outer display is what you interact with all the time. Can a phone bezel really be so thin that it almost disappears? According to a new leak, Samsung's upcoming Galaxy Z Fold 7 might just pull that off. If true, it could make last year's Galaxy Z Fold 6 look like it's from a different era. Let's talk about what's been revealed. A well-known leaker, Ice Universe, claims that the bezels on the Fold 7's inner display are just 1 millimeter thin. That's almost half the size of the Fold 6's bezels, which measured about 1.9 millimeters. It might sound like a small change on paper, but in real life, the difference will be easy to notice, especially when you're watching videos, reading, or just browsing. Samsung isn't stopping there either. The Galaxy Z Flip 7, its smaller foldable sibling, is also expected to join the slim bezel club. The outer screen bezels could shrink to 1.2 millimeters. That's cleaner, sleeker, and definitely more premium looking. Now you might wonder, why does bezel size even matter? Well, thinner bezels don't just make the screen look bigger, they actually make the entire device feel more modern. You get a better viewing experience without making the phone physically larger. Plus, thinner. Bezels are becoming a status symbol of high-end design in smartphones. But that's not the only big news. The Galaxy Z Fold 7 is also rumored to be incredibly thin when unfolded. It could be just 3.9 millimeters thick. That's impressively slim, especially for a foldable device with a large internal screen. It even puts pressure on rivals like Oppo's Find N5 and the upcoming Honor Magic V5, both known for their sleek builds. To give some perspective, the Fold 7 is said to measure 158.4 by 143.1 millimeters when open. These updated dimensions suggest that Samsung has not only made the phone thinner, but also given it a slightly taller and wider footprint, allowing for an even larger display than before. Rumors point to an 8.2-inch inner screen, which would be the biggest yet on a Samsung foldable. And while Samsung is busy refining its foldables, Apple is also in the background, reportedly preparing its first foldable iPhone. But that won't be coming until next year, giving Samsung time to dominate the foldable scene again in 2025. With all these design changes, the Galaxy Z Fold 7 might be the biggest refresh we've seen in the Fold series in years. It doesn't just upgrade the specs, it completely changes the feel of the phone. The Galaxy Z Flip 7, on the other hand, seems to be growing up. Its cover screen is expected to get bigger, now rumored to be around 4 inches compared to 3.4 inches on the Flip 6. Inside, the screen might also increase in size to 6.85 inches. Add the slimmer bezels to that, and you're looking at a more immersive Flip experience than ever before. Samsung is clearly going all in on design this year. With people wanting sleeker, more modern-looking phones, it makes sense.